In a wide, wide desert of unfathomable horizons, changing lights and shifting sands, there were two travelers who were inseparable. One was named Life, and the other Death. They had been walking together for many miles in the desert when they came to an oasis. There was a spring that bubbled and flowed into a clear pool, and there were plants around it, refreshing and green. And seated by this pool was an old soul. This old soul was the keeper of the spring. As the travelers approached, the keeper held up a gourd and said, "Would you care for a drink of cool, fresh water?" The companions nodded their heads. So the keeper got to her feet and said, "It is the custom for the eldest to drink first. Which one of you is the eldest?" Life stepped forward. "I am," she said. "I am the eldest." But then Death stepped forward and said, "No, I am the eldest." And Life said, "But that's impossible. A thing must live before it can die." But Death answered, "No. Death comes before life and after it. Everything is born out of death and then returns to death. Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, says, and with it, we raised to life a land that was dead." The keeper was about to hand the gourd to Death, but Life pushed the gourd aside and said, "But you misunderstand. Everything comes from the Creator. He gives life to everything, and it lives before it dies." Death began only after the first thing had lived. The keeper was now about to offer the gourd to Life, but Death gently moved it aside and said, "Death is before and after life. It is life that comes from it, so death is the elder." But a thing must have life to then die from life. Life is the elder. And so they debated and argued graciously until the sun sank below the horizon, and the great artist painted indigo streaks in an orange sky. They debated and argued while the air became chill, and the once golden sands shimmered silver in the moonlight, and the stars and spheres moved in chorus above them. And they were still debating and arguing graciously when the stars had long since faded. The morning dew was a memory, and their shadows had grown long again in the heat of the day. And still, neither had drunk a drop of water from the spring. Finally, they stopped, and they turned to the spring keeper, who had by now seated herself again by the pool, the gourd still full of water sitting in her lap. And Life and Death said, "You decide, spring keeper. You be our judge." The spring keeper looked up at them and said, "My dear brother and sister, how can I say what both of you say is true? How can you speak of death without life? This desert is like a death. And then the rain comes, and life miraculously grows up between the rocks and stones. And how can you speak of life without death, to which all living things must return? Neither can exist without the other. Neither is the younger or the elder." Then the spring keeper got to her feet, and holding the gourd between them said, Drink now, both of you, together, and go in peace." So the two travellers, life and death, drank their fill of water together, and then continued on their journey, arm in arm, content and at peace in each other's company.